What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another segment of the Gambling Lab brought to you by Bogey Proof. It is finally Ryder Cup week, a week we have been long awaiting. We're all very excited for. Big weekend ahead at Whistling Straits, and we got myself, Paul, Prev, and TJ coming to you live. We're going to talk through pretty much everything you need to know if you're looking to either gamble this week on the Ryder Cup or just overall what we think is going to go down out there. There's a lot of elements in play at Whistling Straits, a lot of elements in play with the format of a Ryder Cup, a lot of things to discuss. So let's get right into it. As we usually do for the big weeks, let's start with TJ and a weather report.
Absolutely. So we are talking some pretty interesting weather. First and foremost, we have to talk about where it is, right? Being in Wisconsin, further north of Milwaukee by a good amount, and it's right on Lake Michigan. So this time of year, the further north you go, it's going to be rather cold. And thinking about this week and when it's going to be, we're looking at 60s. It's going to be a little bit colder than being down in Georgia where they were for the Tour Championship. So you're going to have that aspect to it. I think Friday 73, but then it's down to 65 and then like 66, 67 on Sunday. Rain potential on Friday might play into the factor of who plays better in the wind and the rain. And to the wind, we have 10-mile-per-hour gust. Everything is blowing towards the water. So this week, just know that most of the course either going south or it's going north. Generally, where the clubhouse is, it's right in the middle of the property and juts towards the lake. And then the front nine's going south, comes back around, goes north, back to the clubhouse, and then 10th hole going out towards and then heads north and comes back down south. So yeah, kind of crazy there, but if you can follow me on that, it's going to blow all towards the lake. Beautiful view, so it should be some
That's
pretty
less than I
awesome.
expected. 10 miles an hour. That's not bad. We
It's
can
not
work
bad.
with that.
There are wind gusts though that can get up to 20. So
Yeah.
Right.
sustaining
Getting nasty.
10, that is wind's a factor. It's going to be
Yeah.
similar to Kiowa, I think.
Yeah.
You might have those
You
gusts that can be blocked. So
you get consistent 10 to 20 and it's 60 degrees. Like the ball's not going to go too far, right? Like it's probably going to be more in the 50s for the first 6 holes of the morning waves each day, right? So definitely going to play a little different than, like you said, in Georgia where it was 90 and humid. The ball was absolutely flying everywhere, right? So definitely some things to consider there with the wind. It's obviously going to play a factor, especially blowing towards the water. So that means on holes that are, on Lake Michigan, I mean, depending on which way they're facing and all that stuff, like, you might have to aim into the hills of nonsense and hope the wind takes it back to the fairway. Because if you started in the fairway, it's going in the not the ocean. I'm going to do that all weekend, but the lake.
I do
So that,
recommend though to look at if you go on YouTube and you type in the Golf Digest and they go hole by hole, it really gives you an idea of how this is going to lay out this week. You might have some tents that are up, some fans that are sitting on the bleacher, so it blocks some of the dunes and whatnot. But go check off the Golf Digest and see hole by hole. It's really cool. It's a good watch.
So I have a question immediately that I'm
Yep.
not happy that I'm asking already, but everything I just heard sounds to me like it plays directly into the Europeans' favor. Like, and I know they work, and I know when I was listening to, I know we love to reference no laying up on this podcast for a good reason. And they were talking about how a lot of these Ryder Cups have kind of been formatted to kind of benefit the home team a little bit, and because obviously they're trying to set that up and what have you, and try to work that mental side of it. But wind players and cold weather players and maybe some rainy players, like that sounds European to me. I don't know what you guys think, but
That was the
John
first thing
Rahm
that came to
isn't gonna
mind.
have a problem, and
yeah,
fucking Tony Finau might. So
Yep.
I
we'll
think
see.
it's European conditions wise, but the golf course is much longer. They cut the rough way down. I don't know if you guys saw that video on Twitter where like like a lot of times on Twitter for like US Open week or whatever, like here's the rough at Winged Foot and they drop the ball and you can't see it. Like it disappears into the thickness. They did that Winged Foot, it tees it up. Like it's an inch and a half of rough. It's not really true rough out there. So although the conditions are gonna be, like you said, they sound very European, it's on just a different type of property where like the turf's different and they cut the rough down where they have room to still blast the drivers out there. where and like it's not like gonna play like what was it, Port Rush or whatever, where they played the Open this year, where things run off, right? And there's all these angles and things like that, where like if it's going to be firm and fast, you have to, your line is super, super important that you're taking, and you got to account for wind and all that stuff. I think even though the conditions are European favoring, right, or probably consistent with what they play with over there, just the property is so different that I think it's still got to lean towards the U.S. Just like cutting the rough down, they're going to hit driver all over the place. Like it's as much as the weather is your like I don't keep saying the weather's European. It makes sense, but like it sounds European. It sounds like European conditions, like European tour stuff. I just think like Stricker has been pretty vocal about like I'm making sure I set this up accordingly after the like the ass whooping we got in France. Like we're not doing that again. So
my biggest thing now with the course setups and how they're doing this and how the U.S. team, the European team does it. They favor themselves. They set up courses in their favor and they play courses that are in their favor. The U.S. team, like, they're not really doing that, or else they wouldn't have a Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits where everybody on the European team knows the course. Like, I mean, you go down the list, that entire European team, they play on the PGA Tour. So you really have to choose courses that, like, it's so difficult for the US to have a course that the European team doesn't have an advantage on, that they can just they can
Or
go
at
there and
least
practice there
know,
too.
right?
Like the Golf National in France, I think Justin Thomas and one other player may have played it beforehand. It was just because JT got paid to play there and had like an up, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a
And
good point, right? Like
and the other thing too with distance, like Rory, Fleetwood, I'm blanking on some of the other names on the team. Like Hovland, they all hit the ball out there
Hovland.
quite a bit.
yeah.
It comes to like,
Paul
when does
Casey.
the distance and like
It's a pretty
lengthening
far.
the course
Fitzpatrick.
really matter?
300.
It's you have to play, just almost go to a random course where nobody knows the course in hope that the US's skill actually, the US actually has a deeper team than the European team. Pick a course that no one has played.
Can I ask who's picking? Like, who picks the courses? Is that like
There's like a
who does?
committee on each, for each
Yeah.
team. Like
Right.
there's a
So
Ryder
like
Cup committee
when
that
it's
like
when
post captains are on.
right. So when it's the U.S.'s turn to host, they like get together and just decide on a property, and they
Yeah.
just pick them for years to come.
I
Basically,
gotta feel like there's a bidding war for it, right? Like you put your name into whatever it is, they select whatever's there. Because like I bet some courses don't want to have the Ryder Cup, and so for that reason, you have a bidding process. Then you have a allotment of courses that you select from, narrow it down, kind of go through that whole process.
I don't know if it's
don't know too much though.
I don't know. I don't know if they'd have a bidding. I really don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think they have a
know
bidding
like
process, but
like with the list that they pick from, how that list gets generated. I don't know that, but I know they basically their committee meets, semi-annually, whatever it is. And it's like it's guys like Furyk and Fred Couples and all these post or past captains, Davis Love III, all these guys that have been captains before, and Phil Mickelson, I'm sure is going to be on that now, like things of that nature. And they go through and like, all right, let's map it out. And I think, again, shout out No Laying Up. They did their Ryder Cup medley and they had Jim Furyk on after 2018. And he was like, yeah, like after that, like when we met again after that, like we made a point, like we need to start picking courses that like we just need to do a better job of picking courses, not just pick the ones that are going to be the best for the hospitality purposes, right? And like the venue that will host the biggest event. We need to pick stuff that's going to fit like our team and like be conducive to winning, not just like what's going to be able to host the coolest event and have the most tents and the most, advertise, all that. So that definitely plays a key part. And you make a good point, Paul. Like the European team, they all play on the PGA Tour. So it's not just like, pick one off the PGA Tour schedule. So like, because like they play that too. Nobody on the American team plays on the European Tour, right? Like to your point, Justin Thomas went over there because he got paid to play in the French Open before the Ryder Cup, right? Like the European Tour just has the European team just has a little bit of an advantage in that kind of strategy aspect, because like we can't pick a course that they won't see, because if we pick a PGA Tour stop, they all fucking play on the PGA Tour, so it doesn't make a difference, right? So it's tough, but at the end of the day, I think we can talk in hypothetical land and all this course shit as much as we want. Like at the end of the day, you just have to make putts and like play better, right? Like I don't know. Like they're all professional golfers. They can all get it done.
Right.
Obviously, the circumstances can favor you than other circumstances, but at the end of the day, they're the top. Like I mean, the U.S. team has 12 of the top 25, 30 guys in the world. I think the lowest guy is probably English. I don't know. Like Scotty Scheffler, I don't even know. But like
Yeah.
you just got to be able to put the ball in the hole. They're good enough to do it, right? We just don't play well. Like if you go back and look, our captain's picks in France were 2-9, right? Like Tiger didn't get a point, Phil didn't get a point, Bryson didn't get a point, Tony went 2-1. You're not going to win a Ryder Cup having your picks that you hand selected go 2-9. It's just not going to work.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
we need to. There has to be some sort of, and it's good to see. We've seen a lot of kind of more toward team focus here, but we've seen a lot of like I feel like they're encouraging signs. The Bryson and Brooks stuff, and I think there's a lot of things that they can do with this roster to get a lot more creative. I feel like they just need to I think they just I think in that same No Laying Up episode they were talking about it a little bit with we just don't go get that tournament. Like they actually care and they want it and they just eat us up. And especially when it comes to all shot, the course, it doesn't even really matter. Like if when you're out there doing all shot, which is the hardest format in the world, you're gonna play that kind of format. I mean, you just got to be ready to ball out and hopefully hit some fairways. And the Europeans hit a ton of fairways, and it's we're gonna have to compete with that. Because we got a bunch of long, ignorant hitters who just spray the ball all over the place. And if we can't find fairways, they're going to beat the shit out of us again. And that's just a fact. Every guy they have, you go down the list. Sergio Garcia, Ian Poulter, Terrell Hatton, John Rahm, these guys, Fleetwood, they don't miss fairways. They don't. Yeah. Meanwhile, we have DJ Brooks and Bryson and Tony, who the ball literally goes, and it goes 6 miles, but it could go anywhere, literally anywhere. I mean, so I think it's going to be a big battle off the tee. And if we can, they got a lot of firepower, man. It's I think the Americans, we get looked at as such a powerhouse team because of how far the guys on our team can hit the ball. They hit it, like Paul was saying earlier, they hit it just as far as we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're going to have to hit fucking fairways or I think might be in a little bit of trouble again. I think it's going to go I think for this Ryder Cup, it's going to be a blowout in one way or another. I don't know. That's just how I'm seeing it. I think the USA could blow them out. I really do. But I think they could get their shit kicked in too. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I think that is correct. And it's because of the kind of like you were alluding to in the team stuff. They go get it. They are they being the European team, right? They are so bought in and obsessed with the process, and they go with the flow. They have their game plan. They're very aware of the role they're going to play, and they just do it to their best ability. And whatever the outcome is, the outcome is. Where the U.S., if it's going well, we're buzzing, right? Everybody, we're dancing out there. We're getting fired up. We're making birdies. Everything's going well. And the second it gets bad, it's fucking the house is on fire, right? It's everybody's running around like an asshole. Everybody's pointing the finger. How did he pair him with him? I can't believe how bad Phil played in the foursomes. And granted, and we'll probably get into this a little bit more, but that's probably just the U.S. media just stirring the pot and creating frenzy, right? But it does play out that we either do what we did at Hazeltine, and everybody we have somebody leading the charge, firing everybody up. Everybody hops on his back, and in 2016 it was Patrick Reed and Jordan Spieth. Hop on that team's back, coast off their energy, feed off their energy, bring it to your match as best you can, and just keep the crowd going, keep it all going, whatever, and just get the noise up there. In France, we came out hot. We got our asses kicked in the afternoon on Friday, and then came out Saturday morning, everybody fighting with each other. The morale is that nobody cared, right? It just seemed we nail it in the second it goes bad, where the Europeans just keep coming at you. They keep coming at you. You could be 4 up. You're probably going to win only 1 or 2 up because they're not going to let you just coast, and we always kind of take our foot off the gas. There's just a difference in the attitudes on each team, where it's especially when you're playing something like alternate shot, you have to grind out every hole because you can make bogeys so fast there, and like you said, you miss a fairway, you got to work your ass off to make a bogey. You're going to have to make a 12-footer for par. You're going to have to make a whatever, like miraculous shot out of the rough, whatever it may be. And there's just enough there where it's like something about the attitude. And I think the way we win is our top guys are Morikawa, like JT, Jordan, like Xander and Cantlay. Like those 5 guys stand out to me as like, and DJ probably too, right? Like those 6 guys, those are probably I think those were our auto qualifiers and swapping.
He's super flying under the radar, bro.
Right.
DJ is really flying under the radar, and I hope that because we have just gotten our ass kicked over the last decade overall, pretty much, in this event. I hope that there's a lot of there is a lot of stirring the pot. We talk about this all the time. I hope the motivation factor really comes into play. Like, I really hope guys like Bryson and Brooks and stuff like that feel like they have something to prove, because they do. I mean, they really do. Like, these people, these guys, they talk about growing the game and, viewership, and how do we grow the game of golf? How do we get more people involved in the sport? How do we keep accommodating the fans? Well, here's a good place to start.
Yeah. Go
Okay.
pick the shit
This
out
is
of
a
it.
really good, like, can we win a Ryder Cup? That's a good place to start, right? It really is, and, if you watch one of my favorite, honestly, although it was a European team, I forgot what year it was No Hat Rory. When they were paired, when it was No Hat Rory with Poulter, and the way those two guys just gelled off each other was unbelievable. And there was no way they were going to lose. There's just no way. And like, we haven't had any camaraderie since like Justin Thomas holed out from that fucking bunker at the President's Cup, and he gave a little high five to Ricky Fowler. Like, that was the coolest thing I've seen an American do at the Ryder Cup since Tiger Woods like hit a couple cool 5-irons. But like, that was really it. Like, I hope these guys feel like they have something to prove out there, because if they really do want to grow the fucking game, team events are the best place to start, where there isn't money on the line, and like, let's see what you got. You know what I mean?
The good thing going with the United States team this year is like I feel like there's a lot of camaraderie. I mean, I don't know if Xander Schauffele was on back in 2018 out in France. I mean, Scotty Scheffler. Those guys are actually. It seems like they're boys with Spieth and JT. Cantlay. Those guys, like, they've grown up together. They kind of play together. I feel like this team is more cohesive than it has been in years past. I really can't remember some of the guys that were in France or even from 2015, but it seems like what this team has been made into, it seems like the bond, it seems a little bit more, and you do have to get it back to like more of a team aspect, right? I mean, we did have Bryson, we did have Brooks kind of have separate comments about as they move forward with the Ryder Cup and Bryson getting ready for a long drive, right? That may divvy their mindset away from actual Ryder Cup team. But honestly, I think the media portrays that to be more of a individualized thought process, when actually I think Stricker got the right group of guys here moving forward, or at least the best group of guys that he can put on this course that also fits their game. And so I think this year is going to be a little bit different. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be close. I think Sunday it's going to come down to probably.
Hope so.
I think the last match or last two, it might be like 3 or 4 matches prior, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in a perfect golf world, as a fan, love to see it go all the way to the last one and see like I don't know, a good. I mean, we'll talk about where you put your guys, but I mean, if you did get to the last pairing, right? Like, who would you want to see where all the marbles are on the line here? Like, this is what it comes down to, this match, and winner takes all. Like, who do you want that to be? Like,
I want JT. Give JT the ball.
Hopefully, no one against John Rahm. That's what I. That's the goal.
That's the biggest thing. We gotta.
As long as John Rahm's not swinging a club, we might be okay.
I think to close the loop though on like the whole team environments and camaraderie and shit, I think this Ryder Cup is a changing of the guard for the United States. Like, we're fine. Like, I think we're making a turn in the right direction. Like you said, I think Stricker got the right guys together here.
Yeah, I love the group.
Have had like some shit going on, but like that was not. Like, it's not Ryder Cup related. I think a lot of it's honestly like I think a lot of it's driven by Pip, and they just won't let it go because of that, because it gets so much attention. The media, like you said, is stirring the pot and just keeps regurgitating the same shit over and over with these two. When like they've had like literally 3 incidents that have been probably 6 months ago was the most recent one, right? So it's not like they're actively fighting every single week, right? We just bring it up every single week they're in the same tournament. So
right, and golf is so, for the most part, to the average person, right? Golf is so goddamn boring that
yeah,
they need to take these stories and suck the soul out of them. Like
yeah,
literally,
run 'em
they
into the
take,
ground.
because in football there's a new incident every week. They got something new to talk about all the time. Like there's not going to be a hot news story after the Wyndham Championship. There's just not. So, when there's a little bickering between Bryson and Brooks, like, okay, let's blow it out of the water. 700 golf Twitter accounts tweet the same picture. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's just the same shit. And they just regurgitate the same garbage. So, like, I thought it was a little, if you actually think of it and a little more critically instead of on the surface, like, the fact that, like, Brooks and Bryson were able to iron it out, like, whatever, like, they went to dinner and the whole grown man thing, it's like, well, I mean, should people be surprised? Like, this wasn't that big of a deal. Like,
Yeah.
the Brooksy thing was cool for like 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
like all that was a bunch of drunk idiots who had money on the rounds, and like they were just screaming stupid shit. And Bryson went through his own maturity battle this year, I think, where like I think he won pretty early this year, so he kind of felt probably pretty high horse like, and he was getting a lot of attention for how far he hit the ball, etc. So I think he just needed to like understand and just humble himself a little bit and realize that like, all right, there's a lot of fans here. People are going to say stupid shit. People have been saying stupid shit to Tiger Woods for the last 2 decades, and
Right.
it's never phased him once. And I think Bryson had to realize like, I can't let this shit phase me. Like, I
Yeah.
can't be turning around.
And the biggest thing, right? You bring up a guy like Tiger who's had that forever. Tiger gives the media nothing, right? That's the difference. Like Bryson, I think, like you said, he went through this process this year and this like, personal
And he's so
growth,
young,
whatever
so
you
you
call
got to
it.
be fair with him too.
Yeah.
I think the end result he's going to get out of this year is like, if I want this attention and, I'm going to create this buzz with the way I play the game and I'm very talented, whatever, I'm going to be in this spotlight. I can't give them more than they're going to create, right? Like this year, he put his foot in his own mouth so many times and gave like the drunk idiot fans or the people on Twitter or whatever you want to
Right.
call
He
it.
gave him something to
Gave
tweet
them
about.
so much fuel. Tiger doesn't
Yeah.
say shit, right? Like
Mhm.
he's not active on social media making dumb TikToks of himself working out in his gym with his boys, right? Like
Yeah.
Tiger tweets ads, right, for his Tiger Foundation, and like they're clearly scripted ads that come off his Twitter. Like
Yeah. That he doesn't even
media
post.
stuff
Yeah.
is strictly golf.
Mhm.
All he talks about is golf. Like I think what Bryson is going to get out of this year is like, okay, I can't have like my cake and eat it too. If I'm going to get this attention, I have to be very thoughtful in like what I give the crowds, the media, etc., because they will take it and shove it in my face and like ruin my day on the golf course if I give them anything to run with, right? Like I think that's what his process has resulted in this year. I think that's what he's got to be humbled, or that's where he's got to be now.
I also think bottom line, it's golf is booming. Golf is like rapidly growing, and I mean it's evolving through the social media chain where Tiger really didn't have that until the back end of his career. So there's a lot of differences in that. And what didn't they have? You guys got to help me out here. There's like a competitive. They put some new law in this year where it's like it gives them these guys a reason to kind of be like more vocal, more like
Yeah,
Pip,
Fontaine mentioned the PIP.
yeah, that. And I think that has, like you said, has a ton to do with these guys getting into a feud or just creating something out of nothing. Because if you could get more buzz on you, you're going to make more money at the end of the day, right?
It gives everybody a reason to be a little more mouthy, and then all of a sudden you realize what that gets you, like on a personal day-to-day basis. You're like, oh, I don't know if this is worth the $3 million I'm going to get because I make that just by like.
I'm reading about it. They're gived out $40 million to 10 players deemed to do the most to boost publicity and engagement.
And that's what I'm thinking the whole time.
We have no clue how to market our players, so you guys do it, and we'll pay.
Yeah, and we'll figure it out. We'll ask questions.
I didn't even know that. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. It really is.
That's why I think the whole Brooks Bryson feud even existed, so that way there could be buzz around those guys. And hey, be 1 and 2, and here we go. We're making a ton of money. Like,
but in the
why
PGA,
not do that?
In the PGA Tour's eyes, that's probably negative press, though. Like, is that good
Well,
press?
there
No,
I
it
mean, I
is, 'cause
guess
everybody's
any
clicking on it.
press is good press. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
golden rule.
But this is
if
what
you
you
read
do.
more
You
into
dap
it,
up and you
there's
have dinner at the Ryder Cup, and now you're teammates, and let's hope they're fucking paired together because that's what I want. I mean,
if you read
I do
into it
too.
and
that'd be
how they're
sick.
giving away this money for the PIP, it's a whole algorithm, and a lot of it is based off of on-course performance as well, because obviously you're growing, like, your name is going to be out there more for being on the top of leaderboards, and then there is some aspect of, the search engine clicks and Twitter clicks and all that kind of stuff. There is some aspect to that, but it's more
Absolutely.
heavily weighted on your on-course performance, and it's just like, all right, so I guess Patrick Cantlay might make a couple extra mil for just being a good golfer throughout the year. But
Let's get down and dirty into the actual lineups here, or just who we think is good matchups,
down
right?
and
Yeah, because if I talk
Jeez.
about the PIP anymore, I might punch this computer screen.
I
But
might have to go back to sport law with Dr.
Oh
my
Dr.
God.
Alexis or something
Yeah,
like that.
that-
But
Yeah, let's
matchups
get into
here.
the matchups. Jesus.
Matchups are way better to talk about. I don't know, boys. I'll start real quick. One thing that stuck out to me, and I translate from the back end of the season, a guy who looked pretty impressive to me. Two guys look impressive, one on each team. Tony Finau, Sergio Garcia. I feel like those two are going to step up on both their teams, just because they were playing well. They had to get here, and they've done pretty well in match play. So that's two guys I'm looking at this week who are kind of under the radar, but I'm going to surprise some people.
No, I mean Sergio's a legend, a Ryder Cup
Yeah.
legend. So I mean, he'll, at least in the DFS world, he'll be a pretty big name. It is pretty tough, and we can maybe touch on that a little bit. But DFS is a little tougher this week. But in terms, yeah, I mean, he's like, isn't he Europe's all-time point leader? Am I wrong?
Sure.
I believe that's right. Right. I mean, so either way, but yeah, I mean, Tony's good for this course. I mean, what is it, 7,500 yards? Absolute beast of a course. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I don't know kind of how they handle. I know we touched on it a little bit earlier, but I don't know how they exactly handle the course and if they do cut the rough down a little bit and whatever. But I think those are two great guys. I'm looking at guys like Paul mentioned earlier. Victor's going to play literally as much golf as they can get him in there for. So I'm looking forward to see how he does. But I think Justin Thomas needs to step the fuck up and lead this team. I think he's easily the best course fit out of anybody. He's had some success here in the past, and I just think he needs to be our guy. And like Patrick Reed has kind of been a dick for the last 2 years, so goodbye. So now we need somebody new now. Like we thought maybe he was going to be that guy because actually when I said the coolest thing that has been done by the United States was the Patrick Reed Rory battle, and we ended up we won the battle but lost the war, so forget it. So we need somebody, to step up and kind of lead this squad. And I would love, if a guy like a Dustin Johnson like went off, like I really would.
Yeah.
I would love to see him go off, but like once again, he's just another one of those guys. Like, does he care? Does he?
Yeah. That's the biggest
know,
question with him in this.
He's
He
won
hasn't played
$200
well.
million and has a beautiful girlfriend with 3
Yeah.
kids. Like, does he really care, or does he want to go home and go fishing? Like,
He
what
wants to
is
go
he?
on that lake, dude. And fish.
Yeah,
I think
he
I
ain't going
agree
on
with
that.
you.
Like, he's going back down to Jupiter and going in the warmth.
Yeah, I agree with you. JT and Jordan, that like matchup, because they've been playing together all week. They're going to be, unless something goes wrong, they're going to be playing together in all the matches that they play. Those two I circled as like you got like the torch is passed to you, right? Like the Tiger Phil era Ryder Cups, like you guys know I'm a huge Tiger guy and like I'm a big Phil guy in his later career here as well. Like their era of Ryder Cups, we flat out sucked. There's really no way to get around it. We stunk. So the new era, I think JT and Jordan are you guys to lead it. They've both got a little bit of experience now. And like now Phil and Tiger are out. Like I was saying earlier, changing of the guards. We're in a new generation of Ryder Cuppers for the US. Take the torch and run with it. And you do that by like your first one on home turf, playing together, whatever. Take it and like make a statement here. And then you got to run with that for your next 4 Ryder Cups, right? Like those are the two guys I'm circling. Like JT was awesome in the President's Cup when he played with Tiger, and him and Jordan were awesome in France. They're the only team that had a winning record in France, where they were 3-1 together. And JT ended up winning his singles match too. So JT went 4-1 in France. He was like the only guy that was, had any feel.
Had a pulse.
And on that Saturday afternoon foursomes, I think, with JT and Spieth, I don't know if JT made a putt. Spieth
Yeah.
was rolling in 10, 15
Rolling.
footers the entire day.
Yeah.
Spieth
And that's why they work.
JT didn't sniff the hole with a putt.
Yeah.
Which I think is why they started off the day, I think 2 down. I think they were 2 down through 2.
I think
But
they'd be
JT and
dynamic in all shot. Them
Who?
two together. I think JT and Jordan would be dynamic in all shot. If
Yeah.
Justin can really be a horse off the tee, and then you just let Jordan work it, close to the green and whatever have you. And I think Jordan got a lot better off the tee as the year got better. He's hitting this weird like burner cut now that because I think that's all he can control at this point in time. But he's getting it out there and he's finding some fairways. I thought he did pretty well in the last couple of big tournaments.
Where JT hit some iron, like you let JT hit irons from the fairways. Awesome iron player. You get Jordan inside a 20-foot circle 7 times in your alternate.
Yeah, let's go to work.
He's gonna make 4 or 5, right?
Yeah,
Like I mean,
I'd prefer it that way than have JT putting.
I'd either do Spieth and JT or I do Cantlay and JT. I just feel like that would be untouchable. But then again, like you do have to spread the wealth.
Cantlay and Xander are playing together. They've played every practice round together.
Yeah,
and they played together in the President's Cup.
That's going to be dynamic too because Patrick Cantlay don't miss a fucking
Patrick
fairway.
got better.
Yeah,
he doesn't miss a putt either. And
he might be the best player on our team. So like,
right now, absolutely.
Around.
As of right this second, I mean, does Patrick Cantlay get the ball on the last thing? Because he's easily the best American golfer of the last 2 months.
I say he might be the guy you send out first to like get a point on the board.
Right. We need you to go out there against Ian Poulter. Please kick his ass.
Go kick the shit out of Sergio Garcia. Huh?
Yeah, please. Jesus Christ. Because I mean, it's
not Sergio I'm worried about though the most. It's literally Ian Poulter. I mean,
his time is done.
No, it's not.
I think Sergio too. I think it's good. I think we're going to see the young guys really shine.
Ian Poulter hasn't done shit since Medina in 2012.
I mean, I'm not. Ian Poulter played very well this year.
Oh yeah, like his season. Yeah,
his season was good.
So he's the worst fit out of anybody is him.
He's not. He showed me he's not done.
He had 2 top 50s this year, I think.
He plays well against you in match play. Bottom line,
there's
guys that play better in match play.
He'll bring the energy, but if you look at his record the last 3 Ryder Cups, I know in 2012 he was like 4-0-1 and kicked the shit out of us and like ripped our hearts out. The rest of his records, he's been about 500 the last 3 Ryder Cups. He hasn't been anything crazy.
3, so
the ones he's done well in is when he was paired with Rory, is when he had a lot of success. Other than that, I'll have to look back on his record.
And this course couldn't be like worse of a fit for Poulter. I mean, he's going to be hitting.
It's going to be raining. It's going to be windy. Poulter's going to be pounding his chest. I'm just telling you.
He might play in 2
matches.
Me.
Yeah, he's going to play
weekend.
He's going to play he'll play foursomes on Friday, and if he plays well, they'll run him out Saturday morning.
I know we hate this, but personally, I'm the most worried about. If we're not going to talk about the obvious, the John Rahms and the biggest names out there. John Rahm is the best player by far of anyone in the entire tournament, so we know that. Yeah. But
no, we're in
I'm seriously most worried about Curious George. I really am. I think Paul Casey is going to give us the biggest problem. I do. I think he hits it far. He hits it straight. He has a great short game, and when his irons are on, he is a beautiful ball striker. Yeah. And like, I think he's had some. I'm pretty sure he's had some success here at Whistling Straits and done pretty well here in the past as well. I mean, he's definitely a good fit for this course, and I don't know. He just hits a ton of fairways once again.
He played with Hatton a couple times in the practice rounds too. I think this week. He scares me. He gives me
he's fucking good, man.
He's so fucking solid and annoying. And when you play
he's so annoying.
The foursomes or the 4 balls, whatever it is, like he's not gonna be your guy that's gonna make 7 birdies on you, but he's gonna be the guy that makes 2 birdies and no bogeys and frees the other guy up to make 7 birdies and 7 bogeys, and it doesn't matter. Like he could be an absolute killer, and if he plays well that first round, like they'll run him out there 4 times, and he's gonna fucking go.
I could see a JT Spieth against like maybe like a Casey Hatton or something. Because are you gonna take, or would you want to take like against Rahm? Wouldn't you want to take somebody with a little bit of firepower as well to like kind of match him? Like
I don't know what they're gonna do with Rahm. That's like I don't know if they're gonna give him like one of their they're not gonna put him with like Hovland or Rory, right? They're not gonna. I don't think they'd put too much power together out of the gate, But like, are they gonna put him with like a Wiesberger or like are they gonna put him with like Sergio, right? Rom and Sergio would be fucking a problem.
And
Like
Rom's been really up and down though in terms of his match play, right? So like
yeah,
he in 2018 he won every singles match he could have possibly done. He won that no problem. But I think he was like 1-2 in his like partnership events,
yeah.
which is a little sketchy. But then again, like Zurich Classic, which is the last match play event that he's played, like they won. So it's
Yeah.
like him and Palmer, right? They won
2
that.
years
So
ago though. But
a
yeah.
couple years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did they even have that event this year? I don't even
They
know.
did.
Yeah, it was Cam Smith.
Uh,
this year,
Cam
but-
Smith
right,
and
right,
Richie.
right. Okay, the Aussie powerhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's like I don't know what they're gonna do with Rom. Like, do they stick Rom with someone who sucks, like
That's what I'm
Wiesberger,
Do they
in
try to
hope?
have him carry people and squeeze out points, or do they
Right,
put someone like Sergio or I don't know,
and
like
try to help
Paul
them and
Casey or
try to
Hatton
stab
and just,
somebody. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
and
like
don't
just
think you
what
have
do
him
that
what
with alternate
shit out
shot.
of people.
I
don't
think
know.
if you're
Right.
gonna do 4-ball, you got to do like Rom and Sergio, or you do Rom and I don't know.
Hatton, somebody
he played
Shane
with-
Lowry,
Yeah,
somebody in the middle there, like
Fitzpatrick's not bad.
Fitzpatrick. He scares me of just being like the under the radar guy that all of a sudden you look at the end of the week.
super talented.
Wait,
Holy shit!
he went 3-1-1. He got 3.5 points this week. Like he gives me vibes because like so like the way I look at the Europe team because like I think our team is like we have like 4 or 5 absolute dogs and we have like 6 or 7 that are like middle of the pack but like super solid players. Where I think Europe's a little more like 3, 5, and 3, right? Like I think they have a couple of guys there that are just like really like on the lower end of the spectrum when it comes to like just talent wise. And they have 3 absolute killers with Hovland, Rory, and Rom. And then they're middle of the
Right.
pack with, Sergio, Paul Casey, Hatton, like those Shane Lowry, like those guys that fill the middle. Like for the US, it's like you put a killer with like a guy that's about in the middle, and like you're pretty good at either way. For the Europe side, like do they go keep the two, like put 2 middle guys together and just be a middle team and go out there and like take your chances? Or do you go like top and a middle, put a powerhouse team out there, whatever, 2 tops, middle, bottom? Like what they have a lot more options, I think, on the Europe side. One, they all just play better together than we do. And 2, like just like the talent gaps, like from John Rahm to fucking Ian Poulter, like that's a gap. That's a big gas gap.
Yeah, it's a big gap.
We go from Morikawa to like I guess Harris English maybe would probably be the bottom.
Not
guy.
as big.
Not as
Yeah,
big there,
no.
right? So it's just it'll be interesting to see what Europe does with those top 3 guys. Do they spread the wealth and try and have them pull other people up, or do they put them and make sure that they go out and get points out of their top guys? Right.
And that's why it's been so confusing, though, why we keep losing. It's because, like, our floor, if you look at our bottom 3 versus their bottom 3, it's actually a joke. Like,
Right.
it's a joke. Lee Westwood and Bern Wiesenberger versus, like, fucking Scotty Scheffler, Harris English, and Danny Berger. Like, that's not even – Lee Westwood's had a good year, but, like, come on. Like, honestly. So it's been such an enigma to me why we haven't had any success. And that's because we have a bunch of selfish prima donna guys who only give a shit about themselves. And that's really what's shown. And it's been pretty clear, which is why, like, I think we need guys like a Morikawa or young guys like a Shoffley who are going to actually like care because they haven't done this before.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's actually show up and, try to do something and make a name, like make your name for yourself out here in Ryder Cup, because every big name who has ever played in golf, like at least that I could think of, has had some pretty magical Ryder Cup moments and have done some amazing things. And like, this is an event that these guys want to be a part of and want to make a name for themselves. So let's hope guys like Morikawa or Scheffler or Berger can squeak out a couple points for us.
Yeah. DB straight vibe and put out a sick video for like his
Yeah.
little thing.
Hyped.
They all
fucking
have.
ready to roll.
Like
Yeah.
Kepka put out
Those
a
hoodies,
sweet
by
one.
the way, did you guys see those hoodies?
Yeah,
Those
those are
things
gas.
are fire.
Yeah.
Fire. I'm going to definitely get one of those, I think.
Yeah.
See if we can find one.
All right. I think we've gone through quite a bit of scenarios here, hypotheticals, matchup, players, etc. Let's get down to it. Final scores, predictions. What do you guys got?
You lead us off.
And we'll do like who you want to get the ball on both sides. Final match. Like if you had to see one match be the decision factor, regardless of your final score that you're predicting. If you had one match you want to see in singles, what's your matchup you want to see?
Start there. Matchup I want to see. I want to see fucking Justin and Rory, dude. That's what I want to see.
Run back 2018.
I feel like they've been pretty competitive throughout the years. And
Yeah.
I think they both, at least of what I've seen, at least even in majors, when they're both kind of at the top of the leaderboard, I've seen a couple pairings of them, and I feel like they really lift each other up and play up to each other pretty well. So that's what I'm looking for sure.
Little history there too. JT beat him
Definitely.
in France. So
Definitely.
TJ, what do you got? You're
So
smiling. What do we got?
I really want to see like a final pairing. What did I say earlier? Damn, like a JT Rom. I mean, I don't think that's going to be. I think they're going to put those guys up front. So I don't know if that's realistic, but if you can get that somehow on TV, I think. I don't know. That's what I think gets people going. That's what gets me going. Just want a really competitive event. I think both teams are very talented. I think with the weather, I think it might favor one team, but then again, like a Bomber's Paradise, if it's the other team, it could be close. I maybe like a 15 and a half to 13 and a half or 12 and a half. I think that could be realistic. I think it comes down to the last day though, right? You got to clean it up. You got to play well. One team's got to come out and perform just a little bit better than the other. So we'll see.
Paulie, what do you like for your matchup? What do you want to see head to head?
I mean, yeah, running back that JT Rory match, that'd be sweet from 2018.
It'd be
I think
epic.
like Kepka Rom would also be a great match, or like DJ Rom would be a great match.
I love the Kepka Rom.
Kepka Rom would be a fucking
that would be sick.
Just get some brick houses out there, just mashing balls.
Absolute brick shit houses.
Yeah.
The sound of the drivers off those tee boxes, they'd be probably by the seventh tee, they're probably fucking grunting at each other.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
If Kepka can show emotion, just like give us a couple fist pumps, like early on too, to kind of get the juices flowing. Like I'm thinking, watch out for him as well.
Yeah.
It just really depends what mindset these guys are in. That would be cool. That would be really cool for golf. We get a fired up Kepka. I mean, I'm already a huge Kepka fan as it is, so just give me more of that.
I think you put him in the right situation. He knows when to bring it. Like he's very genuine and won't just like do it to do it. Like if he's in that situation where it's him and Rom, like the fucking big dog, like that'll get him going, and he'll definitely show a little more. If I got to see a one-on-one, I want to see. I kind of love the DJ Rom. We all just want to see Rom or Rory, but I wouldn't hate seeing get Spieth in there against either like Rom or Rory, or probably one of those two. It's got to be against. Those are probably the two big guys, and like just to see like if Jordan can just beat them down by just putting the lights out and just hitting it like shit comparably, right? Like just to see that match play dynamic play out where you're going to have Rom and Rory or whoever one it ends up being just bombing the ball out there, striking the shit out of it, playing perfect golf and just missing a couple 15-footers, and Jordan be all over the place, making bombs from where he shouldn't be, making pars from fucking the other golf course, like shit like that. I'd love to see. I wouldn't mind seeing Jordan be like seriously involved in one of his single matches where it's like very important against one of the big guys, because he has just got to be the most frustrating person to play singles match play against, because every time you think he's like, all right, I might be able to, let's play this whole smart, make a par, and like he's all over the place, boom, 40-footer, or chipping, like shit like that. He just does. He did it all year, right? Like he just has that ability, and like he is probably the best in the world right now at just getting the ball in the hole from weird places, and that's a frustrating thing to play against.
To kind of divert from that just a little bit, my number one thing that I'm excited to see and to watch unfold. I am very, very curious to the impact that Bryson DeChambeau is going to have on this team. Because there are people saying he might play 2 to 3 matches. There are other people saying he could play 5 if he gets hot. Like, is he going to have an impact, or is he just worried about some fucking long drive versus Kyle Berkshire? I mean, what is he actually focused on? Is he, are we doing this? Are we not doing this? Like, I'm very, very curious to see, what he'll actually do for this team. So we'll see.
So with Bryson though, if I see him playing in both 4 balls, but in the foursomes, the alt shot, who do you pair him with?
I don't think he plays in those unless he's fucking tearing
Right.
it up.
He
I agree
can't
with you.
chip.
Like,
Did you see that performance against Cantley? He couldn't chip. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you need to
compare
play
him with
a good
so
Cantley.
that
player
would
on
be
you.
the thing is
Like he
you
can play his own game, but he can't be yipping him out there with a
you would
No.
have to. It would depend on course setup and because
He's a
they
decent
wrote,
putter, though.
everyone tees off
He is a
evens, and then
decent
the other
putter,
guy tees
but he's
off all
also
the
a mental
odd
midget.
holes.
Yep.
And so you have to figure it out. Like, okay, is Bryce going to play all these long holes, and then
Yeah.
can Bryson bomb it down there for something just around the green, and then can Cantlay or Harris just flip one up close, and Bryson can make a putt?
Honestly, I think if
You know?
he does play in a foursomes, and I don't even know whether you could put with him in four ball, but I think like I don't know if it's actually gonna happen, but like him and Finau make sense to me because Finau doesn't give a shit, like
Yeah.
Finau, like he's got no beef
Or
with anybody. He's the nicest guy in the world. He hits it a fucking mile too, and like I think Finau and him like would kind of match up halfway decently. They play. I don't want to say they play similar games because Bryson plays his own fucking game, but like I think that one would work just on the vibes standpoint.
thinking outside the box, this is not so much the vibes, but just kind of like the play of each. Bryson, how he hits it everywhere, and Spieth, how he can get up and down from almost anywhere. It's not going to happen, obviously, but that would be pretty interesting to see. Like Spieth finds a way to make things work if he's got to do it with him. I mean, and then when they're both on, they're fucking arguably some of the best players.
Imagine the conversations they're having though, with like Jordan talking everything through to Greller, be like, "What do you think, Mike?" Blah blah, wiping his hand on the towel and shit like that, and then you got Bryson fucking like, "Jordan, did you look at the elevation slope of 14.6 and like equate for that in your swing?" Like, that could just be a disaster.
It could be such a disaster, but I
It'd
think
be fun to
quite
watch
funny.
though, for
It'd be
sure.
entertaining, right?
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, me personally, I just want this to be entertaining. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm tuned in. What channel is this on?
Golf Channel Friday, like 8 a.m.
NBC.
8
Yeah, it's
a.m.
like
to 6
golf.
p.m. and then NBC on the weekends.
Peacock for like certain marquee,
Don't
certain
start.
marquee
Don't
You get
start.
Peacock for
things
featured
like
groups and shit.
featured
Oh, that's
matches,
some-
which is like there's four matches at a time on the course. Show every goddamn shot.
Yeah. How are you gonna miss
Oh,
it?
God.
Gosh.
Here we go again
my
with
gosh.
the Peacock.
What is it? A max
Why do they make it
16 people
so
on a golf
damn
course
difficult?
at once? Right? There's a maximum 16 people on the course at once, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that the math? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
How you
show
miss
every
it?
shot on TV.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, how do you miss a shot?
Except Sunday, right? Can't they all be on the course at the same time?
That would be the only day.
Yeah.
Every other day,
Too hard
16
for them.
at most. And even then, it's 24 guys. It's 12 and 12. It's not.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
24 cameras and follow them all. I'm sure you
They have
can put 'em on.
156 on the course in a normal week. You're telling me you can't make it work with 24? You can't figure that out? My God.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's a whole other fucking episode.
And the biggest thing too is if it's a problem with technology and the cameras, you're only playing so many holes at a time. There's 4 groups.
Yeah.
Just a guy can't use his 2 feet, get in a car and walk.
I'll
like,
get out there
drive
and
across
film
the
it for
hole.
free.
Yeah. I'll take
Yeah.
a camera. I can carry one
Yeah,
around.
we'll
a couple
drive
help
around and
rockets
do
or
it ourselves.
Yeah, I'll throw it on my shoulder. I can do that.
Yeah,
They're going to be on what? 3 to 4 holes at most, right? So like after the last group tees off the first hole cameras run out to 6.
Just go to 6. Yep. And rotate.
And then
Keep it
and
going.
keep it moving. It's like what were those
Keep
called
going.
in high school sports? I mean, like Indian sprints or whatever. You fall.
Yeah.
The last guy got to get to the front. You just
Yeah.
keep doing that all the way around the golf course. It's not
Yeah.
NBC. Get me on the fucking payroll. Let me get in.
Change
Yeah,
it.
literally, I'll throw a ball at Sergio in his backswing. Just a prick, and throw it at him. Get me on the roll, dude. Seriously, let's fucking go USA, though, huh? Can we fucking win something? I'm serious. I'm so tired of it.
I'm really excited about the changing of the guards and the new crop of people. Like, I'm glad we have 6 rookies. It was whatever was going on.
That's what we need. We need young blood, man.
Yeah.
We
Was
need
not
some
working
people. We need some people who have never felt this Ryder Cup energy before and have never really kind of been a part of this mega event that it should be, and then it's really kind of turned into a joke for this country over the last decade. And we really need to change that, especially if they really want to grow the game. You could really add to your fucking PIP plan. How about we start by winning a Ryder Cup? That will help.
Yeah.
So
Like, I'm not even concerned for like in the future because we have lost so many recently, so it's like, all right,
Law of
like
averages.
like lose another, like who cares? But how about we win in Italy and then win again? I forget where it is, the Ryder Cup in the U.S. when it comes back here.
When it
What
comes
would
back,
that be? 2025.
yeah,
Best
it's
Yeah,
it's
they go back to
Rome,
odds.
Bethpage, and then a dare.
Oh, I'm there. Oh,
Bethpage, yes,
I'm
Bethpage.
gonna be in a
Yeah.
Ryder Cup stands. Yeah, forget it. We won't lose that one. I
Yeah.
promise you that. That I can promise you. If we lose this time, we're not losing in 2025.
You went to a Yankees game. They almost got no hit by the Orioles. So I think you should probably stay home.
That's not true. We lost in the ninth after a game tying home run by Joey Gallo.
Oh,
so
you still
pipe down, pal.
Okay,
All right.
this is a golf segment
Yeah.
here. Let's take the baseball out of it. All right. We don't even have to go into final scores. The chips will fall where they fall on come Sunday, and we'll be keeping content pushing out, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, whatever, throughout the weekend. Plenty to be had. A lot of golf coverage. I think it's almost a 10-hour window every single day. So plenty of golf to watch this weekend, boys. Do it safely. Do it responsibly. Enjoy the
Gamble
golf.
responsibly.
Go USA. Let's fucking figure it out, huh?
Yeah. Don't gamble on anybody. Just put money on Team USA and shut up.
Root together.
On that note,
Fair.
boys, fucking cheers.
One approach
Go
this week.
USA.
Cheers.